What's up, everybody? Thank you for joining me today. This is Marcus Jones. I'm the Bluff City Cowboy coming to you live from Memphis, Tennessee. Um, Everybody, let's get in here. Let's put some comments up. Let's get some shares. Let's get some likes. I got a couple of topics I want to talk about today, and I want to make sure I get as much feedback as possible. Hey, what's up, Spoonie? I know once you saw one of my topics, you probably come in and check it out for a minute. I appreciate that. Let's get a couple shares out there so I can get some comments and some feedback going. Last night had a great show with Lambo on our combined podcast called The Cowboy Zone. We had in my favorite radio personality, Jeff Kavanaugh, and he covered a lot of tips, a lot of information about the Dallas Cowboys. We didn't get as much time as I wanted with him, and we didn't really get to cover a lot of stuff I wanted to talk about. So I had a couple of other things that I wanted to kind of get into in a little bit more detail that I didn't get a chance to do last night. So I know I put three topics up there, but there's this one topic that I have to talk about. And everybody's always talking about this one. And that is the Dak Prescott contract rumors. Let me say this. I don't do two things. Anybody that knows me knows I'm like this. For one, I don't count another man's pockets. And for two, I don't believe anything unless I can research it for myself. And with this whole Dak Prescott thing, that's breaking my two cardinal sins. I said I didn't want to talk about it. I normally try to avoid it, but I have to say this. Didn't we learn from Monday when Chris Sims came out with this completely bogus report that was completely shredded apart by two other reputable sources? Today, there was another report that said Dak Prescott has been offered a contract, making him the second highest paid quarterback behind Russell Wilson. When will enough be enough? Let this man handle his negotiations the way he wants to. Why are we creating all of this clickbait from every media outlet discussing, well, if this is what he was offered, he should take it? We don't know if that's what he's being offered. We don't know what's going on other than people who think they know what's going on. So I won't get too much more into that. I just have to say, let's let Dak handle his business. And let's stop trying to pretend like we know what's going on and all of these other media experts know what's going on. All we're doing is wasting our time and providing these guys with a bunch of likes and follows that makes them feel like what they're doing is being justified. So we have the largest fan base in the world. We have control over the media. Let's stop supporting these guys with all this fake and phony Dak talk. When the contract happens, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Dak will be signed. But until then, let's stop all this speculating and let's stop all of this divisiveness within all of these groups talking about Dak doesn't deserve this, Dak doesn't deserve that. We don't know what he's being offered. And to be honest, a man's worth is what another man is willing to pay for those services. So there's no dollar amount to what Dak's worth is. His worth is what the Jones family will offer him and what he's willing to accept from them. Everything else is just speculation and pointless talk. All right, I'm done with that. I had to get it out there. So now we'll go to the three main topics I kind of put down. And the first topic I want to talk about is, well, since I got Spoonie on, we'll go ahead and go into Jamal Adams. So there have been some reports out today that Jamal Adams and the Jets are kind of at an impasse, and they're at a point where they can't come to an agreement on a long-term deal. And it sounds like they may be willing to open up the trade talks again to get him out of there, get him to another team. Of course, we want him here. He wants to be here. So why not make it happen? Now, people are going to talk about before the draft they wanted a first, and last year they wanted a first and Tyron Smith. I mean, those things are probably true, but isn't he worth it? I'll leave that out there for you guys to decide. So now, according to Michael Irvin and some other people that were reported, they want a first and a third for Jamal Adams. Now let's just talk about that real quick. Next year, 2021. If you look at the way this team is right now, what position do we have where we have a bunch of question marks? We don't know who's going to come back. We don't have anybody there who's really going to perform. The only position I can think of is safety. Haha Clinton Dix signed a 1 year deal. Um, we also have Xavier Woods. He's on the last year of his deal. We got Luther Kirk. He's an undrafted guy, so we don't know what he's going to bring. And we have our fan favorite Donovan Wilson, where nobody's seen what he's going to do yet. But even if we assume Donovan Wilson is going to be the guy, that's still only one safety that's signed to come back that we have faith in. So if we look at the draft next year, what do you think will be one of the top positions that we'll be looking at? Safety. So if we're looking for a safety and there's a safety available, how will giving up a first round pick for Jamal Adams really hurt us? I don't know. I mean, hopefully we have a great year this year. We're picking in the 20s. So once you get past 15, 16, 17, you're kind of in a crapshoot anyway. You don't know what you're going to get. We've learned that in the past from guys like Taco, um, other players like that. You could get a good player. You could get a guy that's out of the league or off your team in 3 years. So if we're going to be as good as we think we're going to be, picking in the 20s, if we have a chance to get a guy who can start and it's only 24, 25 years old, why not pull the trigger and let him go now and get him? So people talk about that third round pick. They say, well, a first and a third is really too much to give up for a guy like Jamal Adams. And my response to you is this: we just let go of Byron Jones this year. Next year, that's going to at least bring us a third round compensatory pick. We also lost Robert Quinn to free agency, so that's probably going to bring us at least a fourth. So now we have a third and a fourth that we didn't plan on having anyway. So basically, we're just giving up one pick we got for free to add on to get another player. To me, I like those odds. If it takes a first and a third to get him, let's go out and make it happen. He's gonna bring a whole lot more to this team than people want to admit that he will. Um, when you look at other teams, when you look at dominant defenses, those teams aren't 11 deep. For example, let's look at the Ravens. If you look at the Ravens defense, they always are a top five defense. Can anybody really name more than three players on the Ravens defense? Even during the great years, if you get past Ed Reed, Ray Lewis, maybe Rod Woodson when he was there, you can't really just name off 6, 7 guys that you can say, okay, they have a bunch of talent that makes them elite. No, they have an elite core at multiple levels of the team that make them successful. Right now, we have D Law. He's our highest paid guy. He had a bit of a down year in terms of sacks, but in terms of overall production, he's still a dominant player, especially on the run defense. You look at the second level, we have some question marks. We don't know what Leighton Vander Esch is going to be. He could come back and be great. He could still be hurting from that injury. And then you got Jalen Smith. Jalen Smith is kind of our wild card. He could be the best linebacker in the league, or he could be a liability. I'm leaning more towards best linebacker in the league, but I wouldn't call him a signature piece to make a defense great. So now we go to the secondary. We have that level on the D line. We could have it in the linebacker spot, still unproven. In the secondary, we know we don't have it. So why not have two elite guys at two of our three levels of defense. People want to talk about the Chiefs. Go back and look at the Chiefs last year, the Super Bowl champion Chiefs. That defense wasn't great, but they played great in spots. And the reason they played great in spots is because they had two elite players at two different levels. They had Chris Jones at the front, they had Honey Badger in the back. If we bring in a guy like Jamal Adams, we're pretty much doing the same thing for our defense. So why not just go out, pull the trigger, make it happen, and let's get this guy signed, and let's roll on from here. Now, there's another thing people like to talk about. They like to talk about, well, we don't have enough money to sign them right now. Well, if you go look at what Dallas's cap space is right now, I believe it's $7.5 million. So I'm real big on, like I said before, I don't believe something unless I can research it myself. And I've talked about this before in a previous podcast. If you ever want to know anything about a contract, this is my go-to site, spotrack.com. So I actually went and pulled up spotrack.com, and I want to share it with you guys so you can kind of see what's going on with Jamal Adams' contract. All right. I hope you guys can see this. So I already had spotrack.com pulled up. And Spoonie made a point. He says they can reconstruct. Spoonie, we actually don't have to reconstruct because we have the money we need to do it right now. And here's how. So if you go to Dallas's page, I don't want to go there now because I already got this pulled up. Well, you know what? I haven't done this already for other people. So let's do that. So I'm going over to Dallas Cowboys team. It's probably going to take a minute to load up. But again, guys, if you want to know anything about a player's contract or a team's contract, go to spotrack.com. So I see since the last time I was here, the cap space has dropped down to 4.1 million. So let me just take a look real quick to see why that happened. If you go to this site, it tells you every player's contract. So I already figured out why that happened. The last time I was here, we had the reserve suspended cap. Now these guys don't count against the cap. So right here, the money Randy Gregory will get paid, that's not counting towards the cap right now. So more than likely, I would guess that the drop in salary is because now they have Aldon Smith listed as an active player, and his salary is now counting. So I don't want to go through and find them, but I'm pretty sure that's what that is. So right now we have $4.1 million in cap space. All right, now let's go back to the players, because like some people say, we only have $4 million. We got to sign Dak. We don't have the money to make it happen. Well, while I load this up, first thing, when you come to Dak Prescott, if Dak signs a contract, his cap hit is actually going to go down. So if he's at 31 million now, that cap is probably going to drop down to 24, 25 million just because of the first year being the lowest cap space hit. So that's going to clear us up about 6 or 7 million. So now I'm back at Jamal Adams. Let me pull this down so you guys can see the whole thing. And remember spotrack.com, that's the place to go to find out all your contract information. So we're looking at Jamal Adams' contract right now. So we're right now at 2020. Now, most people will look at this big number right here. I hope you guys can see it. This number right here, that is his cap hit, 7 million. But that's his cap hit with the Jets. Let me explain why. If you look at these three numbers, these are his cap hits with the Jets. This number is his signing bonus. He was already paid that when he signed as a rookie. So this is his percentage allocated over the 4 years of his rookie deal. And then this is his roster bonus. So if you go look at his contract, the Jets have to pay him a roster bonus of $2.7 million at the third day of the league year, I believe, which is around March 20th. So This counts towards the Jets cap hit because they already paid it. If we were to sign Jamal Adams this year, we don't take on this cap hit of 2.7 million because the Jets have already paid it and allocated it. We also don't take on this cap hit of 3.5 million because the Jets have already paid it and allocated. If we sign Jamal Adams right now, this is what his cap hit would be. $825,000. To me, that's a no-brainer. We can sign him right now in our cap space of 4 million and not have any problems. Now, if you go to 2021, you see this $9.8 million number. Now that's when we would have some issues. But we wouldn't have to worry about that until next year, or we can go ahead and sign him to a contract this year. So just looking from a cap space perspective, it actually would make more sense to wait until the offseason and sign him because we have the space to fit him now. So again, 825,000 is what it cost us for a full season of Jamal Adams. They say he's upset about not having a contract. I really think he just wants to get his way out of the Jets. It sounds to me a lot like the Earl Thomas situation from last year. If he came to Dallas and in good faith, he knew he was going to get a contract, I think he would come here on a trade and not be a problem in the media or the locker room. I honestly think he would be the most impactful player on the defense just because of his leadership and his playmaking ability. So I just wanted to point that out to you guys just to let you know. There's a lot of talk out there about Jamal Adams, and it's not as far fetched as you would think it is. So I see we got a question. Let me highlight this question and put it up there. So my boy Jeff asked, if we sign him, what are your thoughts about what to do with the starting safety position? So I think that's a good question that we should all talk about. Jamal Adams is going to be your starting strong safety. That's without a doubt. The question is, what happens at free? I say just have open competition. The reason I say that is because we have to take ourselves out of that mindset of this is the last regime. All these guys are coming in with a clean slate. Everything Xavier Woods did the past 3 years, that means nothing to this secondary coach or the defensive coordinator. Everything Haha did with the Bears, right now, that means nothing. This is a new coach. This is a new scheme. This is a new group of talent. So even if we don't sign Jamal Adams, he may be plugged into the starting spot, Haha would be. But if he comes, we know what he brings. So that free safety spot is just up for grabs. So you just let Haha, Donovan Wilson, and Xavier Woods go out there, compete, and let's get the best 11 on the field. One thing McCarthy always says is, I don't care about scheme, I care about players. So to me, if we get a guy like Jamal, I don't care who plays free safety. I just want the best guy to play free safety. I see Jeff disagrees with me. And I see Mark Cantor also put up a comment. So if we did that, that leaves Cheeto to stay at cornerback. That's a good point. I still think he's a better safety, but if we had a guy like Jamal Adams, there's really no reason to move him to safety at that point. We can just let him compete at that corner spot like he's already planned to do. All right, so that's my next topic. So now I kind of want to talk about the Aldon Smith return. So now with Aldon Smith, everybody's excited about this move. I'm excited about it too. The only thing I want to say is we need to temper expectations about what we can expect from Aldon Smith. Aldon Smith hasn't played football in 4 years. The last time he was on the field, he got 3 sacks. The year before that, it was 2.5. He could come here and get 6, 7, 10 sacks. It's possible. But I don't want us fans to hype him up so much only to tear him down when he doesn't meet the expectations because we're notorious for that. Anytime we sign a player, we always think he's going to be a starter, he's going to be the guy, and he's going to come in and wreck shop. And then if he has one bad game, everybody jumps on like, oh, he's a bum and he didn't deserve the money he got. I don't want to see that happen to Aldon. Alden's taken a long way to get back to where he is right now. So I think we should all just try to support him as a fan base and just come in with reasonable expectations. So for me, I would say a reasonable expectation for Alden would be if he's a rotational player. And the reason I say that is because again, he hasn't played football in 4 years. And secondly, if we believe the reports that Jay Glazer put out there, he's put on 20 to 30 pounds in muscle and he's down to 5% body fat. Now, that sounds good when you think about it, but I don't care how you put on 30 pounds. That is a lot of extra weight to carry when you're not used to carrying it. And now you're at 30 years old and you're playing at the highest athletic level that anybody can play in the NFL. It's a tough task to think that he's going to just come back and be the guy he was before. I honestly think he'd probably be better at left end behind DeMarcus Lawrence right now, just because of that size. I think putting him in at right end and expecting him to burst off the line like he was before, I think that's a little bit too much to ask of him. Let's ease him in now. If he's got 30 pounds of muscle, that means he's stronger. That means he's more suited for that left side. So let's put him over there. Um, we got a lot of guys competing at that right spot. So let's let those guys compete and see who's the best. We could throw him over there if we need to, but let's give him a shot just to get on the field and get his legs first. If I don't hear from Aldon Smith for the first month of the season, I'd still be okay with that. I hope other people think like that too, because I hear a lot of talk about people saying, well, he's going to be a day one starter. Let's not put that on him. Let's not put that on him. He still needs time to grow and he needs time to get his legs under him. I see Mark put another good comment up here. He says rotational is an ugly word to some people, and that's true. Every team only has 11 starters on each side of the football. You can't expect everybody to be a starter. Some people have to come off the bench, and that's not a bad thing. I mean, even if you go back to Randy Gregory the last time he was on the field, he had 6 sacks and he was a rotational guy. So rotational is not that bad to me, especially when you have a team with this much talent. One thing I would hate to see is us going back to a time where we have lesser guys getting too many snaps just because we feel like we have to play them and we have all this talent. Let's spread that talent out and get a lot of guys on the team. I hope you guys are enjoying this. I see my boy Lambo logged in. Appreciate it for the support, Lambo. I know you're probably on the clock at work. I'm glad you took a couple minutes off to come check me out. Make sure you guys subscribe to my channel on YouTube. It's Bluff City Cowboys. Also, like my Facebook page, Bluff City Cowboys, and also go check my boy Lambo out at Cowboys Y'all. All right. So now I want to go into my next topic. I've kind of talked a lot about Aldon Smith and DN. So let's talk about that other DN spot, and that is Randy Gregory. So I've heard a lot of people say, well, Aldon Smith got reinstated. Where's Randy Gregory at? And it's different for each person. I'll say this. Oh, I gotta give a shout out. What's up, Marlon? One of my former classmates from the University of South Panola. Good to see you, man. Thank you for joining in. So yeah, we got Randy Gregory. Now, Randy Gregory is in a different position than Aldon Smith. And the reason for that is because Aldon Smith has kind of been away from the league for a while. So when he comes back, this is his first time asking to get reinstated. So the situation is a little bit different for him. He has to prove that he's reformed. He has to go through all the paperwork. He has a one he has a one-time shot at or a first-time shot at showing that he's ready. Randy Gregory, this will be what his third reinstatement. So that takes a little bit more time because now not only does he have to show he's ready now, he has to show that he's improved from what happened the last two times he got banned from the league. So that's a completely different situation when you have a guy who had some problems and now he's coming back for the first time, different than a guy who had problems, came back, had problems again, came back, had problems again, and now he's trying to come back. I love Randy Gregory, but it's only so many times you can get second and third chances. And I think he'll come back, but I think just because of his situation where he's had all these problems in the past, it's causing him to take another look at his stuff and take a little bit long. The other thing that I think is an issue that people don't like to talk about, Aldon Smith was a first round pick. Aldon Smith probably made $20 million when he was in the league. Now, if he wasn't a complete knucklehead, he should have most of that money. So, getting back into the league is expensive. You got to pay attorneys. You gotta you gotta set up flights. You gotta set up meetings. You have to pay advisors. You have to pretty much pay for. You have to pay out of your pocket for a full support staff that you can prove is gonna be there with you and support you during your time in the league. And that doesn't come cheap. Randy Gregory was a second round pick, and he didn't make a lot of money when he was drafted. And unlike Aldon Smith, who got in trouble closer to the end of his deal, Randy Gregory got in trouble from day one. So that means all of that money he could have made, he was suspended, so he didn't get paid. So if you think about Randy Gregory's career, um, he missed most of 2017. He played some of 26. He played some of 2017. He missed most of 2018. He came back and played, had a decent season, and then he missed all of last year. So if you look at his career so far, he maybe has one full year of salary that he can depend on to not only live on, but to pay all this money he has to pay. And remember, like I said, this is his third bite of the apple. So I think someone estimated before it cost about $250,000 for reinstatement. He had to pay that twice already. Now he has to pretty much pay it again to kind of show that he still has a good support system. That's a lot of money for a guy who's a second round pick and hasn't gotten a lot of paychecks. So he may be slow playing this thing just because he has to find a way to get the money to do it. The team just can't give him money out of their pockets. He's not on the team anymore right now until he gets reinstated. So let's give him some time. I'm sure he'll come back. He's not a bad guy. I want to put that out there. I hear a lot of people talking about, well, he shouldn't be on the team. He shouldn't get all these chances. But let's really think about Randy Gregory's history. Has Randy Gregory ever been in trouble outside of a failed drug test? Has there ever been a story in the news about him going to jail? Has there ever been a problem with him with domestic violence or robbing a guy at a cookout or a gun charge? I've never heard anything bad about Randy Gregory other than he failed these drug tests. Anybody you talk to about Randy Gregory, they say he's a smart kid, he's a humble kid, and he's a great locker room guy. That's the reason he gets all these chances. People like him. He's a good guy. You can't just blame him because he has a serious problem with drugs. There may be something else underlying. That doesn't change the person he is. So let's just remember that about him before we start to bash him and call him a terrible person. There are some terrible people in this league that haven't missed a paycheck. Let's not put that on him. Let's support him and let's just wish him well and hope that he can come back and provide us with some depth and some production for our Dallas Cowboys to get us this number 6 ring. Now, I want to cover one more thing before I go. Like I said before, I don't really believe something unless I can see it for myself. And people talk about the whole 60-day thing with Randy Gregory. They say, well, he applied 60 days ago. His deadline is coming up soon. Why hasn't he been reinstated? So let me just point out something else that I pulled up. So I'm a nerd, guys. Don't hold it against me. I'm a football nerd, especially. And I enjoy going out and finding information, looking at contract stuff like that. So when I heard about the whole Randy Gregory situation, I decided to go out and look at the collective bargaining agreement. I did this for you guys just so you can say when you go talk to other people that you know what you're talking about and you can show them where you got it from. So this is a section directly from the 2020 collective bargaining agreement. It's a public document, so if you just Google collective bargaining agreement or substance abuse policy NFL, this will pop right up. And this is found in Appendix B. So if you look at it, this is the procedures for reinstatement following banishment. Now it talks about the 60 days twice. Neither one of them really apply to the whole deadline of he should be back in 60 days. But the first one says any player banished may apply no sooner than 60 days before a 1 year suspension. Now, that doesn't really have anything to do with 60 days to get reinstated. But let me point this one out. This is what is involved with the commissioner. Basically, it says all individuals, let me make it larger so everybody can see it. All individuals involved in the process will take the steps to enable the commissioner to render a decision within 60 days. So, what that's saying is we're still under the mercy of the commissioner. If the commissioner decides to take this thing to week one, there's nothing we can do about it or anybody can do about it. All they can do is provide him with the information to help enable him to make a decision within 60 days. He's not required under any reason to provide uh, an answer. Let's keep him in our thoughts. Let's keep him in our prayers. Let's hope he comes back. But right now, guys, we're still at the commissioner's mercy. It's all up to him. That's pretty much all I got for you guys today. I appreciate you guys coming in, checking me out. Do we have any other questions anybody want to talk about before I get out of here? I see we've had quite a few comments, and I appreciate the comments. I appreciate the support. Before I go again, everybody that's on here, can I get you guys to share this to your page so other people can see it? And also go and like my page, Bluff City Cowboys, so you can keep track of any other time I come online. And also check out my boy Lambo at Cowboys, y'all. Make sure you check him out as well. I believe he's going to go live today as well. So you're going to get a lot of good information from him. Um, and we got some other people on here with some podcasts that I want to go through. Spoonie came in earlier. Go check out Star Gang. That's Star Gang, Gang. They always go live. I believe they have Wednesdays where they go. Always a good discussion with Spoonie and Mary and BJ. I see we also got Mike Poland. Mike, thank you again for letting us do that interview with you this week. Mike Poland is a member of the UK Cowboys fans. So we go international, guys. We're not just a United States thing. Mike Poland, they have a 7,000 member following over in the UK, and he's a member of that. And he also has a podcast. So make sure you find him, check out his page, see what he's working on. Mark, I see you've been posting. I mean, Mike's been on here. Mark Cantor, I see you've been posting quite a bit. You've been making some good comments. If you have a podcast or a show or a page, please put it in the comments before I go so I can shout that out as well. Okay, I see my boy Jeff got a comment he wants to talk about real quick. So he wants to talk about the starting corners. I'm at 35 minutes right now. I want to try to get out 45, so we'll try to knock this out in the last 10 minutes. So we got 10 minutes, guys. You can share this, get it out there, support the page, support me, support all these other guys who are knowledgeable fans. Now, for me, I think that Diggs is going to take the starting spot on one side. I think he's too talented, he's too athletic, and he's just a great player. He has everything you need from a corner. He has the former receiver background, so he knows how to find the ball, he knows how to high point it, and he knows how to catch, which has been one of our biggest problems on this team. None of our corners can catch. He's also 6'2", so we like long corners. Al Harris, our DB coach, was a long corner, so I think they'll work well together. And something a lot of people don't talk about, his brother is probably one of the top 20 receivers in the league. That's who he works out with every day right now. So he's probably getting just as much good work in at home than he would in training camp. He's learning from one of the best. And from hearing him in his conversations, he has an attitude that he doesn't back down to anybody. So I'm sure it's not just friendly workouts between him and his brother. He's trying to shut his brother down. And I'm sure he's learning every time he makes a mistake, and he's picking up something every time he does something good. So a guy like that, I'm really excited about. Now, at that second corner spot, anybody that knows me knows I'm a huge Jordan Lewis fan. My boy Jeff will tell you, as soon as he got drafted in 2017, I said when he was drafted, he was the best corner on the team. I thought he was better than Byron Jones at the time. Still do. With that being said, we have a lot of corners on this team, and I feel like he's going to get treated as the odd man out because of his height. I don't think he's going to be on the bench though. I think we're going to trade him. We got a lot of corners. He's on the last year of his deal. There's really no reason to waste him on the bench. I think there's going to be a guy who takes to good coaching, like an Awuzie. We got Daryl Worley from the Raiders. I'm sorry, Daryl Worley. He's a tall corner. He has a lot of starting experience. Reggie Robinson, one of our rookies. I don't expect him to start, but he could give us some quality snaps. We got some talent over here. We even got Chris Westry, the guy from last year, 6'4", 4'3" speed. We don't know what he is. He could take the coaching. It's a good competition. And I forgot about Anthony Brown. He has some talent. People forget Anthony Brown is a 4'2" guy, 6 foot tall, 5'11". So we have talented guys. I think there's going to be a deep competition for that second spot, and I don't know if Jordan Lewis can get it. Again, like I said before, nobody has any goodwill with this coaching staff, so the coaches are going to go with who performs the best in the system they put together. I think Jordan Lewis can, but I feel like if you look at the optics and the metrics and you see all these tall, fast corners flying around the field, and Jordan Lewis may look good in practice, but he's 5'11" and runs a 4.5, and everybody else runs a 4.3. I think he may get pushed out, pushed to the side. And if that happens, I think they may try to go ahead and trade him and get some value for him. If you guys remember, last year during the draft, there was talk that Jordan Lewis was on the trade market. And then the Cowboys immediately said that wasn't the case. But only after that draft round ended. I believe during day two was kind of talk about that. And then after day two ended, that's when they came out and said, no, we weren't talking about trading Jordan Lewis. I think he could be put out there. So I don't know who takes that second spot, honestly, Jeff. I think Diggs is definitely going to get one of those spots. Um, if I had to take my best guess, I would probably say Daryl Worley starts Camp off at the number two spot just because he has the most experience. But by the time Camp goes, I don't know who could get it. So I hope that answers your question. I know you're big on Jordan Lewis like I am, and it hurts me to say that because I'm a huge Jordan Lewis fan. I hate to say that he won't be the starter, and I really hate to say that he won't be on the team. But to me, with the numbers game and the way these corners look, it's got to give somewhere. So I think Jordan Lewis is kind of where the book stops at. Let me check to see if I have any other questions before I go out. And Mark, if you have a page, make sure you put that up so I can say it and put your info out there. Again, this is Marcus. Bluff City Cowboys. I'm based out of Memphis, Tennessee. So if I have any of my Memphis people, Mississippi people, tri-state area people, make sure you go and follow the page because I want to make sure I support the fans, especially the fans in my area. All right, I think that's pretty much it with comments. So thank you again, guys. Thank you everybody for supporting. Thank you, Spoonie, for your comments. Mark Cantor, Mike Poland, my boy Jeff, Lambo. Thank you again for checking us out. Old classmate, thank you for coming in, Marlon. I appreciate your support. Again, this is Marcus, Bluff City Cowboys, and I'm signing out. See you guys next week.